Hello, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. And today, as you can see, I have got a really easy, lacy, lovely poncho. Yes, it is in the granny style. Unlike last week's tutorial where it was two triangles melded together, this is a one piece. So there's no seaming, there's no sewing. It's fabulous. Absolutely love it. And after the first round, it's a breeze because it's a one row repeat. Yes, you heard me correctly, a one row repeat, so you can just stitch away, not have to worry about it. It's fabulous. And on top of that, I figured out how you can create different neck opening sizes, and I'm going to go into that also during the tutorial. Now, for this piece, which I love the colorway and how it turned out, absolutely love this. I used, not sponsored, I used Karen Big Cakes. I used about 2 skeins of this yarn for this project, and this is the colorway of Summer Berry Tart, which I thought, how appropriate, right? And of course, you can use a thinner weight of yarn, a thicker weight of yarn, really whatever it is that you want, which you know, with whatever hook size you want, of course. Now I'm going to give you some opportunity for using a different neck opening, because if you're using a really thick yarn and a big hook, well, then you're going to need fewer stitches around the neckline. If, however, you're using a smaller hook and a thinner yarn, you would need more increments around the neckline in order for it to work for you. So, that being said, let's get started. Hello again. Alrighty, so before we get started, I just wanted to give you the specs on the Karen Big Cakes, because I often get a lot of questions. So, like I said, this is, of course, a gorgeous colorway. I used about 2 skeins, and it was Summer Berry Tart as the colorway. It is a medium weight of 4, and it is 100% acrylic, and it is approximately 603 yards. So, that being said, also, it recommended a size H crochet hook, which is a 5mm hook. I thought I wanted a bit more drape, so I decided to use a size K 6.5mm hook for the piece that you saw me wearing, because I wanted it to be more flowy, more drapey. You can use, of course, whatever works best for you. Now, for today's example, yes, I found this at my local Walmart. This is Mandala Tweed by Lion Brand. Again, not sponsored, but I always like to let you guys know what it is that I use, in case if you want to duplicate the results. This I thought was absolutely gorgeous, and I really wanted to give it a try, because you have 2 different colored strands that are slow color changing. So they're both ombres, if you will, from one color to another, but the 2 twisted together creates a really interesting tweed look. Now, specifications on this one. This is 568 yards per skein, and it is also 100% acrylic, and it is also a medium weight of 4. Recommended hook size is a size I, okay? Although the irony is that this yarn is a bit more robust. It's a bit thicker. This one is a bit thinner, so we shall see what works. Now, the only thing, just from balling up a skein prior, the only thing that I'm a little, I wouldn't say concerned about, is perhaps the yarn splitting, okay? But we shall find out together. So this is kind of a twofer. This is a tutorial and a review as we go on. So we shall see what we shall see. All right, by the way, this is the colorway dice. I guess as in, a pair of dies, rolling dice, I don't know. At any rate, we shall continue. All right. So now for your chaining, okay, which I happen to already have done my chain, because I took one of my skeins, and I already balled it, you are going to need to chain. Let me see here. Let me checking my notes. You're going to need to chain 56 chains. Okay, and I did it off camera so as to save you the grief. 56 chains. Now, what I meant before about how you can make a bigger neck opening or a smaller neck opening, well, this is the time in which to do it, because with last week's video, you created the neck opening after both of your pieces were essentially finished, okay? And also I'll put a link to that video in the description box down below. Now, again, don't you just love my handwriting? I mean, this is quick scribble. So this is my granny square poncho. All right, now so it's increments of 16 stitches. So if you want to make your chain bigger, you would add 16 chains. If you want to make it smaller, then you would take away 6 chains. So my base number, which worked for me, is 56 chains, okay? So if you want it to be a little bit smaller, well, then go down to 40. If you want it to be bigger, well, then go up to 72, or whichever works for you. And this is just a rough diagram of what we're going to be doing. Very rough. These are double crochets and chain spaces. Very rough, okay? But it worked for me. All right, so with that being said, I would say start with a chain of 56 and slip stitch it and see, does this fit over my head? If not, you could also change the hook size. That's another method. So fiddle with that, see if it fits over your head or the person that you're going to make it for, and we shall continue on with our first initial round. Okie dokie. Alrighty, so like I said, I have my initial 56 chains, and if you do also have 56 chains, you will follow exactly like I am. Now, if you went up or down in the number of chains, I will let you know what it is that you need to do in order to adjust for that change. All right, so now we're just going to make sure that our chain is not twisted. You do not want a twist. No, no, no. And we are going to slip stitch to the first chain. So I found my first chain right here. So we're going to not twist it. We're going to turn it so that we can then go in underneath both loops. And this first round is, yes, this is the most tricky, fiddly round that you are going to have to deal with for this entire project, but it is worth it. So I got underneath both loops, yes, and in fact I split my yarn already. This is not a good sign. However, I love the colorway, so I can make exceptions. All right, so we got in there, and grabbing my working yarn, very good. All right, and slip stitch to that first chain, creating a ring. All right, so it would be at this point, you figure out, all right, is this going to fit over my noggin? And if so, great, we can continue. Like I said, if not, well, I will go into the details, as soon as we get this first round established. All right, so from here, chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then into the next 2 chains, double crochet, and again I'm going underneath both loops of the chain, or you could go underneath the back bump, that's fine too. I'm gonna just adjust my camera so it'll be a little bit easier. Excuse the camera work. I'm sorry. There we go. Much easier for me. All right, so we went into that first one, and then we're going to go into this next one with a double crochet. Again, going underneath both the loops, like so. There we are. Then we're going to be doing a corner. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and going into that same stitch, double crochet. And this is going to be our corner. So we've got 3 doubles, 1 in each chain, and then chaining of 3, double in the same stitch, then into the next 2 chains, double crochet in each. Okay, that's one, and then we got one more. There we are. Okay, so now we need 2 clusters. All right, I'm having malfunctions over here. There we go. All right, so we're going to need 2 clusters beyond this corner. So chain 1 and skip the next chain. So I worked into this one, I'm skipping this next one, and then after skipping a chain, going into the next 3 with double crochet. So I've got this one, and then I need 2 more for my first cluster. Now the difference is if you went with, say, 40 chains, then instead of 2 clusters along each side, you would only do 1 cluster. In between your corner and your other corner, you'd only do 1 cluster. We're doing 2. Now, if you went up to, 72 chains, well, you would have 3 clusters in between your corners. So I chained 1 after I did my cluster, and I'm going to skip the next, skip the next chain. So skipping that one and going into the next 3 chains with double crochets for my second cluster. And then we will do another corner. So that's what I was referring to as far as, you can make adjustments to the neckline as far as how many clusters you need. All right, great. Okay, so quick recap. We have cluster, chain 3, cluster, making sure that you're doing these 2 double crochets into that same chain. So 3 doubles, chain 1, skipping 1 down here, 3 doubles, chain 1, skipping 1 down here, 3 doubles. All right, so then we need to do another corner. So chain 1 and skip that next chain down below, and then doing 3 doubles into the next 3 chains. So that's 1, and there we go, 2. And also, you know what? This does not feel like acrylic. This feels more like cotton, actually. It doesn't feel rough like cotton, but it reminds me of, in appearance as well as in texture, the twine that you would have around a baker's box. That kind of is what makes me think of. All right, so now, since this is our corner, chain 3, and then into that same stitch, that same chain where we did our last double crochet, we do another double crochet. There we go. And then 2 more double crochets in the next 2 chains. And yes, this is definitely workable. It is splitting a bit, which is making it difficult. However, after this initial round, we're not going to be working into stitches. We're going to be working into chain spaces. So it is going to be infinitely easier and quicker. Trust me. All right, so that being said, we have one corner, we have our two clusters, and we have another corner. Hoo-ha! So, like I said, if you're going down to 40 chains, for your initial, ring, so it'd just be one cluster. If it's up to 72, then you would have 3 clusters. So whichever works for you, I don't judge, it's okay. But I really thought that it would be important to show you, yes, you can make alterations. All right, so let's continue on with the rest of the foundation. All right, so we just did our second corner, so chain 1 and skip the next chain going into the next one and the 2 thereafter for a total of 3 double crochets. And also I know that the colors are absolutely wild. It's like a peacock exploded and was turned into yarn or something. I don't know. It's really psychedelic. But I kind of dig it, and I thought this would make a really festive and vibrant poncho. So after that cluster, you chain 1 and skip the next chain going into the next 3 chains with double crochets. And this is going to be our second cluster. That's 1 and 2 and 1 more. Three. Shaboom. Okay, so we are on our way to our next corner. So again, chain 1, skip the next chain, and then go into the next 3 chains with double crochets. And I did quite a while back do a poncho very similar to this, but it only increased on 2 points. This one increases on 4 points, all 4 corners. So that's why I call it a square, a granny square poncho. All right, so then chain 3 and double crochet into that same last stitch that we worked into. There we go. And then into the next 2 chains, double crochet. That's 1 and then 1 more. Okay, come on. Come on. Work with me. Nope. The yarn split. Okay. See, the 2 colors don't want to merge with each other fiber-wise. And as a result, see, there we go. Got it. As a result, the yarn splits. However, like I said, for this project, as soon as you get past the first round, the hard part is over. So I'm not overtly concerned. All right, so we've got our next corner, and we just need 1 more corner to go, which is a fabulous thing. All right, so that being said, chain 1 and skip the next chain going into the next 3 chains with double crochets. And then one more. Okay, and then we need another cluster, so chain 1, skip the next chain, going to the next 3 chains with double crochets. Yeah, so like I said, I found this at Walmart, and yeah, I bought them out. And also, lo and behold, they started carrying Lion Brand's Ferris wheel as well, which I was absolutely elated about that, believe you me. And yeah, I bought them out of that as well. um, I act impulsively, but well, I'm a yarnivore, you know? It's how it is. All right, so we have our corner right here, and then we have our 2 clusters. And so we need to now do a chain 1 and skip the next chain, going into the next 3 chains with doubles because we need to go about doing our corner. So this is going to be half the corner. So I've got 1 and 2. And 1 more. 3. All right. And then chain 3. And then into that same stitch, double crochet. And then into the next 2 chains, double crochet. There we are. That's 1. And 1 more. All right. So now we are on the home stretch. All right, so now I just need 2 clusters. So chain 1 and skip the next chain, going into the next 3 chains with double crochets. 1 and 2. And 3. Chain 1, skip the next chain, and then going into the next 3 chains with double crochets. Again, this is the last cluster. So it's 1 and 2 and 1 more. There we go. All right, great. Awesome sauce. Okay, so now making sure that our piece is not making sure that our piece is not twisted. Okay. And also, yeah, you should have 1 chain that you are not going to work. That's right here. Okay. And so, yeah, making sure that the piece is not twisted, which thankfully it is not. And finish up this round by chaining 1 and then slip stitch into the top 3rd chain of your initial double crochet. And then to finish the round, we're finished with the round, but to finish, slip stitch into the next 2 double crochets, and then slip stitch into the chain 3 space. Shaboom. All right, so that is the completed round 1, and I'm going to lay it out for you and show you better. All right. All right, so just to give you an overview, we have our corners, obviously, and we have 2 clusters in between each corner. And just don't forget, I cannot stress this point enough, that when you're doing your corners, that these 2 double crochets, the corner ones, need to go into the same chain. Otherwise, your count is going to be off. And believe you me, I made this mistake. Okay, I did. So I don't want you to make it either. So that being said, we are now going to do the next round together, and it is going to go by so much faster. It's not even funny. So start by chaining up 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 more double crochets into that same corner space. Pull out some more yarn. Okay, so we've got our 3 double crochets, chain 3, and then into that same space, 3 more double crochets. Now, yes, I know this is yet another granny project, but as I always say, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know I love the granny stitch because it's simple, it's quick, it's effective, and as you can see, it's versatile. All right, so then after chaining 1, so it's 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets all into that same space, then chain 1, and then into the next chain 1 space, 3 double crochets, and see, now since I'm not working into chains anymore, I'm just working into chain spaces, it's so much easier. Chain 1, 3 double crochets into the next chain space. So the fact that I was whining about the yarn splitting initially, and yes, I know I was whining, chain 1, 3 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. Right now, I am loving how soft and colorful this yarn is because now I can actually enjoy it. All right, so I've got my 3 doubles there, chain 1, and we reached our corner space. So into that corner, 3 doubles, and then we're going to chain 3 and 3 more doubles, like so. Chain 3, and then got my second set of 3 doubles. There we are. Chain 1 into the next chain space, 3 doubles. And also, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but for my finished piece, I did, it was, I think, 29 or 30 rounds in total, to give you a ballpark idea. So chain 1, 3 doubles into the next chain 1 space. Although, of course, you can make it however big or small as you want. And as far as the amount of yarn, well, yeah, I used about 2 skeins of the big cakes. However, like I said, that is just a rough guesstimation. If you're using a thinner, lighter yarn, you're probably going to have to use more yardage. All right, so I chained 1, and then we reached another corner. So 3 doubles, and chain 3, and 3 doubles into the same space. And the beauty of this project is the round that I'm doing right now is exactly what you're going to be doing for the rest of the entire project. That's why I was saying, yes, it's a 1 round repeat. I was saying 1 row repeat for the intro, but no, it's a 1 round repeat. So I've got 3 doubles, chain 3, 3 doubles, chain 1, and then 3 doubles into the next chain space. And if you can deal with the initial setup round, this would be a great project for maybe I think it was the Karen Cakes latte, which I haven't seen in ages. So chain 1, 3 doubles into the next chain 1 space, because as soon as you get past the initial round, the rest of it is gravy. And chain 1 and 3 doubles into the next. There you go. Chain 1, and we reached a corner again. So 3 doubles, chain 3, and 3 doubles. Also, I say this with a lot of the projects that I do because it holds true. This would be a great stash buster. Oh, yes. But as always, I like to add the disclaimer that you would want to make sure that the weight of yarn is the same. Otherwise, you are going to have some serious warpage. All right. So chain 1, and then 3 doubles into the next chain 1 space. You know, an ombre would look lovely. You know, or if you did a bunch of rounds with a light color and then did another bunch of rounds with a perhaps slightly darker color, you know, sort of a gradient, if you will. And then chain 1, and then 3 doubles into the next chain space. All right, and we are almost full circle because all we have to do now is chain 1 and slip stitch to the top 3rd chain of our first double crochet. There we go. Slip stitch into the next 2 doubles. And then slip stitch into the chain 3 space. All right. So our piece is already growing outwards. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. All right. So that being said, that's pretty much all you need to do is just keep repeating the same round over and over and over, which I'm going to do anyway because I love spending time with you fabulous people. So I'm going to do another round. But that's all you have to do is just increase at the corners and then work your way around each side. You know, easy as that. So let's do another round together, shall we? Alrighty, so to do another round, just chain up 3, and then 2 more double crochets into the same space, and then chain 3, and then 3 more doubles into the same space. Like so. Chain 1, 3 doubles into the next space. There we go. And of course my yarn decided to knot up on itself. That's okay, we got this. There we go, just a slight tangle. Chain 1, 3 doubles into the next space. See, I told you after that first round I'd be going by faster. I told you. Did you believe me? So chain 1, 3 doubles into the next space. Chain 1, 3 into the next space. Oh, the yarn, it's starting to change color. Ooh, pretty, pretty. You know, it's slow and subtle. All right. And then chain 1, and then into the corner space, 3 doubles. And chain 3. And into that same space, 3 doubles. There we go. Chain 1, 3 into the next space. See, and right now I'm really not having the problem with the yarn splitting. It was just really initially. So I would say it is something perhaps to be aware of. Chain 1, but it is not a deal breaker. You know, sort of similar to, was it Karen Simply Soft? That yarn splits terribly. The texture is really, really smooth and absolutely silky soft and lovely, but it does split. So chain 1, and then 3 doubles into the next space. Alrighty. And after chaining 1, 3 into the next space. Another thing that you could conceivably do is if you wanted to tighten this up a little bit to not have chain spaces in between your clusters. That too is an option because, you know, there are a million variations on the granny. So more power to you, you know, go for it if you like. So we're into the corner. So 3 doubles, and then a chaining of 3, and then 3 more doubles. Into that same space. And chain 1, 3 doubles into the next space. Also, if you're doing a project, you know, this is just me speaking from experience. If you're doing a project with a lot of detail as far as the stitch is concerned, I don't think that this would be a very good yarn, only because the color combination, it's very busy. So I think that all of your work would be lost. You know, like for instance, if you were to do a virus shawl or something of that sort, I think, in all honesty, I think that the pattern of the stitching would get lost in the colors. However, if you're, say, doing like a chevron blanket, this would be awesome. This would be a perfect yarn for a chevron blanket. By all means, you know, I think that would be really nice, you know, with this color, not the colorway per se, but the brand of yarn, the tweed. So yeah, you're essentially getting a twofer here. All right, so I'm in the corner, so I'm doing my 3 doubles, a chaining of 3, and 3 more doubles. You know, you're getting a yarn review as well as a tutorial. How about that? Okay. chain 1, and then do our clusters across this side, which is the last side of this round. And chain 1, pull out some more yarn. Yes, yes. And I know that most of you probably have done 1,000,001 granny projects with me, but I like spending quality time with you guys. Catching up and saying hello and that sort of thing. You know, hello. I must look like a yeti in this get-up. Oh, I'm melting like a snow cone in Phoenix. It's my Mrs. Doubtfire homage right there. All right, and so we are almost done with this edge. Yes, we are. Chain 1, and then slip stitch to the top 3rd chain of our first double crochet. Slip stitch into the next 2 double crochets, and then slip stitch into the chain 3 space. Shaboom. All right, so then laying it out all nice and pretty. Let me just get my tail out of the way. There we are. And there we go. Okay, so this is what we are working with at the moment. All right, and so yeah, you just keep going on in this same fashion until your piece is big enough. And so this is, of course, the neck opening, and so you have a sort of, shoulder length, sleeve and so forth, and this would come down towards your tummy. And I absolutely love this pattern, in case you couldn't tell. And so yeah, so just keep going and stitch, stitch, stitch until your piece is big enough, and there you go. So listen, like I said before, you can make some adjustments, whether it's the 56 initial chains like I gave, or you can go down, or you can go up in the number of chains. Just realize that the 56, yes, you have got 2 clusters in between your corners. If you go down, you would only have 1 cluster in between. If you go up, you would have 3. I hope you get the idea. All right, so with that being said, I hope you liked this tutorial. If so, please give a little thumbs up button down below. I appreciate your appreciation. And also, if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe for more goodies. And also, please do check out my other YouTube channel, Fiber Spider Games, for video commentary and playthrough. It's a lot of fun. And until next time, I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, and above all, stay stitching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.